Joe gave us a thing a couple of meetings ago on the process. I don't know if you, did you ever get one of those?
Good evening. Welcome to the Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting scheduled for March 5th, 2018, 7 p.m. at the Town Hall on Main Street in Raleigh. First order of business is to call the meeting to order. And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this meeting is being video and audio recorded and televised live on Raleigh Community Media. We have a very busy agenda for tonight. We have first will be an update on the March 2nd, 3rd northeast storm. We'll try to hold public comment from 7:05 to 7:10. At 7:10, we have an appointment. And 7:20, we have budget appointments, 7:30, 7:40, 7:50, 8 o'clock. And then we'll get along to our new business and old business items. An update on the March 2nd, 3rd northeaster storm and power outage. I know for most of the people, we were in the same boat that we lost our power Friday night at about 8 o'clock. And we were out until Saturday afternoon, and I happened to be at a Raleigh Emergency Management meeting at the fire station with the fire chief and other personnel, and the power came on a little after 3 o'clock. So we were very happy to see about that. It got kind of cold. We as also a member of the Raleigh Housing Authority, we had some issues at the plantation, but they were able to get a space heater for the all-purpose room and provided a warm area for the residents to come over and to get a little warmer. And I understand they also enjoyed some pizza that afternoon. So that worked out fairly well. We also
Mr. Chairman, we also, when we found out that the power outage was related to a transmission issue in Groveland that was bringing the electricity over into Raleigh for Raleigh Lake Department, it was located in an area that was surrounded by wetlands, and so it was very difficult to get the tree trucks in that there were tree limbs that hit those wires, and you had called State Representative Brad Hill, who
Right.
then called National Grid, who got, I guess, what they called swamp mats out to try to, I guess, provide a sturdy surface for these large tree trucks that needed to get in there. So it was quite a long process. It was a National Grid.
National Grid responsibility. It was not the Raleigh Electric responsibility for that power, that transmission line. And National Grid did respond to it. And we do want to thank our Representative Brad Hill and Senator Tarr for their response to asking and getting a response from National Grid to respond better than they did in January. Bernie?
Yes, when the power went out and trees come down, etc., my bigger concern was the fact that we had actually no telecommunications capability at all. So we lost both our landline and our cell phones. So I don't know quite understand what the technology is, but that was a first in terms of normally if you lose power, your landline essentially stays up, and mine did for 4 hours on Friday night, but then I lost that as well. So that gets to be a little unnerving when you've got no communications out of it.
Well, just from my knowledge, if you use Verizon or
Fios.
Comcast, Fios.
Just Verizon, not the analog copper lines, but it's a Fios.
No, if you're on Fios or you're on that,
Comcast line.
on the Comcast
You're
line,
affected by a power outage.
the boxes will stay there's a battery backup for them. They'll stay for a couple hours, and then they'll run out of power.
Right.
The other thing is, if people have portable phones, you know, you got your portable, your answer machines and portable phones that are plugged in, they won't work unless there is power. So you really need to depend on your cell phone. I don't know why your cell phone didn't work, but mine did. Mine worked out throughout the...
I think there was a difference between T-Mobile and Verizon.
Yeah, that could be. 'Cause it depends where, if the cell phone towers don't have a generator backup, then you're gonna, we ran into that a few years ago,
We did.
and we corrected at least for the phone lines that the town is on, so.
And it is the responsibility, we couldn't, our web page was down, our server was down, so that we couldn't make any adjustments or put anything on the server at all. And we also had some problems. We did put out the reverse 911 call.
And so, Mr. Chairman, in that respect, if people are putting in their cell phone and their home phones into that database from Blackboard Connect, that would be advantageous, because in the case of somebody with FiOS or Comcast and for their phone service, you know, they at least get the message on the cell phone.
Right.
And we did have the police captain offered to put that message out. We, based on the timetable, we heard from the light department and make sure that everybody knew earlier, and he did send a confirmatory follow-up message later on in the afternoon when the power came on, and directed everyone to call the light department if there was any follow-up issues or concerns.
And just to follow up on that, Mr. Chairman, the people should realize that if they go to the Raleigh webpage on the net, on the internet, the Blackboard Connect is on the face page. That's the company we use for the reverse 911, and basically they automatically connect everybody's home phone to that system unless they're unlisted. As long as they're in the book, they're listed. However, if you want to get notified on your cell phone, or you want to get an email or a text, you have to go into that site, put your name down. There's a spot where you sign in, and then you can add your cell phone numbers. You can add up to like 10 or 15 numbers all told, but add your cell phone number, your email, and a text, and they will, but you have to do that manually. The only notification otherwise is the home phone, which in this case, most everybody now is connected with these various systems, so that the home phone doesn't work. So we'd highly recommend people to go into the Blackboard Connect on the Raleigh website and check off email, texts, and cell phone coverage. And that's handy anyway. If you're out of town and there's something that happens in town, you'd like to be able to get it on your cell phone. And we try not to abuse that or overuse it, so that, you know, it's rare that you get a call from a town department, but it's there for the use to notify people in a town-wide or area-wide situation in town. So, you know, we encourage people to take advantage of that system.
Any other comment? Okay. I don't think I'm going to open up public comment right now. We'll go to our 7:10 appointment with Siglin Crook to discuss signs and sidewalk concerns.
My first meeting.
Why don't you come up in the front, just, otherwise it doesn't come in on the,
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Mary.
evening.
So I'm a resident of 10 Lessard Terrace. Sieglinde Eigner Crooks is my name again. And I'm out walking with my dog a lot, all over Raleigh, literally. And the trash, you know, that people dump all over the place, be it, you know, liquor bottles especially. I think I could pick up 10 schnapps bottles every day on Central and Weathersfield and all over the place. Is heartbreaking. I frequently go into Georgetown also, and there are a few signs here and there that warn people about littering and a $1,000 fine. I took a picture of one just to show you, because I haven't seen a single sign like this. So this is one sign off of when you take a left off of Dodge Road to head over towards what's the name of that? It's Weathersfield, I think, heading into Georgetown.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's
Yep.
one sign,
Yep.
no, you know, no littering. So I've been long been wondering about, you know, a nicer sign. Sometimes it's easier to get people to cooperate by assuming that they're nice. Okay, so I've had this sentence that popped up in my head: "Show your pride, keep trash inside." if, if Rowley could do something unique and post a few signs here and there, trying to appeal to people and not being such pigs and show their pride a little bit and not dump every piece of trash outside. So a request to see if we could post some signs here and there to appeal to people's pride and decency and dispose of their trash properly rather than on the side of Weathersfield or Bennett Hill or Warehouse Lane and all over the place. Yeah, that's my request.
We did reach out to Police Chief Scott Dumas and the
Yep.
Highway Surveyor Pat Snow and the Health Services Coordinator Frank Marchiani for a recommendation on the concerns that I think we all have. I know that around my property, along the street edge, you frequently see
Yeah.
bottles and cans and trash thrown out of the car windows onto the side of town roads. The consensus of the group was not to place additional signs on the roadways. They are recommending that Pat Snow request the Office of Community Corrections to provide the town with a trash cleanup crew. That has worked to our advantage, but I think that, it can't hurt to have a sign or two. We don't want to
Right, not a ton, but...
blanket it, but
Right.
that we asked Highway Surveyor Patrick Snow about the sidewalk area on 121 Weathersfield. Once the hot top plant's open, he can try to overlay that section in between the tree-rooted area to help with the drainage. But a complete resurface of the sidewalks would be a capital improvement, which he has not budgeted for.
Yeah.
It is not in the immediate future of the pavement management program.
If it's necessary to show a video, it's literally just a stretch of sidewalk in front of Mrs. Henry's home, in front of the Montessori school. So I took a video of that too, basically turns into
So maybe he can
Into a
work
sheer
on
face.
some way to get it
Yeah.
so that it drains better,
Right.
but to do a complete resurfacing,
It's just maybe-
it's not in the budget.
20 or 30 yards of sidewalk that gets flooded severely and icy.
Mr. Chairman, the hot top plants are closed now for the winter, so as soon as they open, so it should be about a month or so,
Okay.
at least, and then he can make arrangements to do that. And he thinks he can do it in a way so the drainage will come off. He did see the
Right.
ponding
Right.
in that section in front of this house that you're
Okay.
talking about.
Right.
Good.
So he was confident on that.
The only problem with that is that we're still using that four-letter word that begins with S that we don't want to say too loud, that we're expecting more snow on Wednesday into Thursday.
Yeah,
So,
this would have to be in April sometime.
yeah,
when
hopefully
the-
it's going to,
When the facilities are open.
we'll get into
Right-
springtime.
Right now, they patch with cold patch on all the roads.
No, that's a good idea. That is.
Great. Thank you.
Bernie?
What is the fine for littering and is there a bylaw that covers littering in Rowley? I don't litter, so.
There's a state law. I'm not sure that Rowley has a bylaw. Most, like the sign she shows, usually those are put up at spots where people tend to dump trash. And
$1,000?
yeah, and I'm just a little, I get a little concerned when we
Yeah,
start.
we'd have to check and see if that's a Georgetown bylaw or whether it's just a
Well, I know there is state laws
State
for
laws.
how do you throwing trash out of your vehicles.
I certainly have on Weathersfield Street closer to Route 1. I can almost fund my vacation each year by collecting bottles and returning them.
Every street has the same problem, and it becomes a matter of how many signs we put up, and sometimes sign clutter is worse than anything else, and if we can just get people to, a lot of people walk around, pick up litter, and, and maybe we can put a public announcement on the Rowley Community Television, if they can put together a public service announcement type thing. In fact, it might be worth it, Linda, if you contact the Rowley media, the TV, local TV, and maybe they'll let you, I'm sure they would, they'd be happy to, if you work with them and put together a little short public service announcement.
There's
That
cleanup scheduled, a realtor in town organized
Right.
something for...
Usually a lot of years the scouts do it too, they do it.
On Earth Day, the conservation agent always has a cleanup on 133.
That's right.
I will, if Miss Agner Crooks could maybe email me that graphic, I think that would be very nice. We could also try to get some publicity on this
Yep.
on the website, and maybe make flyers and things.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Yeah, I know my neighbor, when we first moved in 1970, came across, and it was well-known for going through the neighborhood and with his trash bag, picking up the trash by the roadside, and suggested that we all pitch in, and most of us did for quite a number of years. Bernie?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't caught anybody who's doing it, but I suspect it's younger people, which suggests that some encouragement at the school level may help.
Might be an idea, too. Get them word up to Triton.
In some
Mr.
ways,
Chairman,
though,
I've already picked up twice this year in front of the plantation. It's the same person every day or every 2 or 3 days, throwing out just about everything.
Yeah, we do all kinds.
Margaret?
in some ways, the larger concern isn't just the litter. The fact that there's so many liquor bottles indicates that somebody is driving under the influence, and they'd rather take the risk of getting the charge for littering
Littering
than
than
getting caught with an open container in their vehicle. So I know Weathersfield is notorious for liquor bottles.
Yep.
And it's definitely a concern where people tear down Weathersfield, whether or not they could be intoxicated when they're driving.
The other thing is, a lot of times the light department puts public service announcements on their bill as part of the bill,
Yes.
and maybe contact the light chairman over there, and he might be willing to put just a box with something like that for public service. And that gets to every household anyway, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll open it for public comment for the next 5 minutes. We have a 7:20 appointment, Treasurer Collector Karen Summit, to discuss fiscal year 19. Treasurer Collector budget, fiscal year 19 information services budget, and the fiscal year debt budget. Karen?
Okay. I'll come up in case you have any problem hearing.
Yeah, we gotta have people come up, because what happens is the home TV doesn't record well if you're way back in the audience.
Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with your Treasurer Collector.
Okay, so, basically, the expenses are level funded from last year. The salaries are in line with the guidelines. The one exception to the salaries I do have, and I did this last year, is I have a few extra hours for the administrative assistant, because when the assistant treasurer collector and I are out of the office, she needs to cover. And she only works 16 hours a week, so sometimes, if one of us or both of us have been sick before and she's had to cover, we found it easier just to add a few extra hours rather than have to do transfers at the end of the year.
Treasurer Collector never gets sick.
The one thing that I did add to my budget at the end was the budget development, budgetary issues and options forms. And one thing my budgetary issue basically is, I feel for my department, and a lot of other departments, insufficient wages and benefits. I feel like this is something that needs to be addressed by the whole town. And one of the ideas that I had for funding this was the meals tax, the optional meals tax. So, something to think about, gentlemen.
Well, I did go through the data you gave us on the various cities and towns.
Right,
And I did notice that we're one of the few towns around that don't do restaurant.
exactly.
Or hotel. And I remember it came up a number of years ago when I was a selectman, and the idea at that time was that we didn't want to be going up if nobody else was. But I look through here, and if the numbers are surprising. If you look at, for instance, Georgetown, let's see how the chart goes here. For a total for that year that they did it, they got $78,360 out of that's on the meals tax.
Right, and you know, Georgetown does it, Ipswich does it,
And
and
we-
I don't really know any people that say, I'm not gonna go to Ipswich and eat because, you know, I have
Right,
to pay that
nobody-
extra tax.
And looking at the same Georgetown, again, I'm just picking that one out because they're somewhat close to us, or they're close to us.
Right.
They don't do anything for the room tax, but I'm not sure they got any motels over there.
Exactly.
We've got the new hotel, upscale motel coming in
Right.
probably this summer.
Right,
And, you know, I think it'd be something that we should really take a look at, because the surrounding, Ipswich does it, all the surrounding, Newbury doesn't do it, but they don't have a lot of restaurants or
Right.
or hotels, so they don't do it. But Newburyport, Georgetown, Ipswich,
yeah, I mean, most of the towns in the state.
they all seem to do it, and it's a substantial amount of money.
Right.
So that would help out, because we definitely need to look at salaries and benefits for town employees, because we've been holding the line for so long. And a lot of it, you know, I don't want to blame the schools, but the schools come in and give out all kinds of raises and benefits, and our town employees just sit here and take what they're doled out to. So, you know, we want to be in the median of where the salaries are, but I know, as a member of the Personnel Board, and particularly like the Water Department, it's getting very difficult to hire town employees because we don't pay insurance and pay the salaries that these other towns are paying. So we get what's left over, or a poorer quality, or we can get poorer quality people that, you know, can't get in somewhere else. So I think it's something we need to seriously look at.
Right, and you know, people that do work here and do have insurance, a lot of times, you know, they're going backwards.
Yeah, right now, the salaries are
Insurance
going
is
up.
going up.
Insurance is going up faster than the salaries, you know, it's going backwards, and it's something we definitely need to address. And as chairman of the Personnel Board and with personnel officer, who's the town administrator, we've already talked about taking a look at this in the next fiscal year and see if we come up with some figures and some numbers, and then we see what we have for money, and we'll go from there. But it's definitely on the agenda.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we want to do IS.
Yes.
Basically, it's level funded. The expenses are level funded. You know, IS expenditures are something that, you know, some things break. You spend a lot of money. If they don't, you don't spend as much. But, you know, I would like to keep that level funded because, you know, we want to have people that we can call and, you know,
Yes.
say, okay, come and fix this. Not like, oh, yeah, well, you know, we're running out of money.
Now, we're putting in the capital budget a lot of money for computer replacements,
Right.
software updates, you know, things like that, hardware, a lot of hardware and software. So your expenses here, is that strictly for the company, or is that, it also include additional?
It's mostly for labor. What I try to do is when I give the IS capital budget, I try to include some of the labor for that installation. And it really is a function of how complex the new computer and what department it's going in. You know, if they have a lot of other programs that require migration, then, you know, I probably go over and have to take some of it out of the general IS budget. One of the other things that we found is recently we've been having these issues with receiving email, and it goes back to some strange thing with Comcast that, you know, we need to have them available, you know, to deal with things like that, because technology is becoming more technical, and really, you know, it's beyond the scope of, you know, anybody
Oh, yeah. no,
in town,
definitely.
so.
No, we definitely need to keep up. We found out
Right.
from years past when we didn't keep up with our computers that, you know, over a 4 or 5 year period, they become obsolete, and the companies don't support them. They don't take the new software becomes more and more complicated all the time. So
Right.
to keep all that stuff updated and to be able to integrate with the state and the other government agencies that we need to do is
Oh, exactly. And our
Absolutely
capital plan
essential.
is working really well. I mean, we've got all the computers on a schedule. When we get to the capital request, I sit down with Jared Samuelson from PRS, and we look at all the computers, and, you know, he knows, well, you know, this one may not quite be the right age, but we've been having a lot of issues with it. You know, we need to replace it. So that's in a really good place.
And one of the things we were talking about today with with the town administrator was the fact that when the police come in with their budget, they want to do a Facebook page. And under state law, we have to monitor and save all these Facebook and Twitters and anything else that the town participates in. And I think we need to, for the capital budget, as part of the EIS computers, I think we're looking at doing the similar. We don't want to be with the police, but we want a program similar to them, because
Okay.
different departments have expressed interest in having a Facebook page, and they may have it already, I don't know. But
Yep.
and we need to, the problem is, we need to be able to record all those, catalog them, and keep them for public records requests, because it's all part of the
Right.
public record, and if we don't keep it, we're going to have problems, so that's another area that's very
I would
important.
suggest we just have a contract with the company to take care of all of
Right.
that, because all of that social media, every single thing that's put on there is a public record, and people need to realize that when they post.
Yep.
So all that needs to be archived and maintained in accordance with Chapter 66. So I would recommend we have one line for that in the budget that covers all the town departments. And whether it's with the IS or some other place in the
Yeah.
budget, we need to do it.
I think the police department's hiring a company,
No, they haven't,
To
they're
take-
looking for funds.
so they're looking for funds to do it already, and we want to kind of do the same thing, just to cover ourselves. It's just an essential part of doing business today. We're seeing all the time, people are getting in trouble for Facebook postings
Right.
and Twitter postings and so on and so forth. And under the law, we're required to keep records, so we can keep that data available for public requests.
All right, so the last one we have is the debt sheet. And
I see 2 lines on there. Already got down there.
there are a couple new things this year with regard to the Pine Grove School renovation and the police expansion and fire station. Basically, this fiscal year, we borrowed $10 million as the first kind of phase of this. The debt service for fiscal year 19 is new on here. Actually, the way that the debt's structured, there's more interest than principal. And we also had a capital equipment that is new for fiscal year 19. So I will say that the effect of the $10 million on the next year, the fiscal 19 tax bill, is 56 cents per thousand. So on the average residence, that's about $240. And that is, we have the public safety is 11.6. And with the Pine Grove School, what will happen is we'll expend up to 38, but then we get reimbursed from the MSBA, and I think the final number is going to be about 22 million. So total, we're about a third of the way. Because I know people have asked, is this on my tax bill? How much is going to be on my tax bill? And, I can't say, it depends on how the construction goes as to whether or not we'll have to borrow again this fiscal year. The plan is to not borrow again until fiscal 19, probably in, July or August. But, if we need to have the money, then we would do another borrowing. So,
Okay.
Very good.
any other questions?
No, it's good to see the years that the final payments are due, too. That gives us an idea of where we stand on. as
Yeah, we
payments
actually have,
expire.
the landfill will be off, the final payment will be in 20, the well land, 20, the library 21, Hunsley Hills 20. So we do have some things that will be coming off. There's a fire truck and the highway truck coming off in 2020, so.
Bernie?
Just so I'm clear, so
I want to be on
the,
television and sit up there.
Later.
the 10 million is against the aggregate for the school and the fire station?
Correct.
Police and fire station?
Correct.
So that's 10 million against the projected 34 million, approximately?
No, 10 million against the 50 million.
10 million against the 50 million.
Correct, because what will happen is part of the school will be reimbursed by the MSBA,
Right.
but depending, on how they feel like submitting things back to us, and, hopefully by the time we get towards the end, we'll have, a good chunk back. But what we do is we have, what happens is if we borrow under $10 million, it's something called bank qualified.
Yeah.
And it means we receive a more favorable rate in the market. So we try to, phase things in, at $10 million a year, basically.
Right, but net, when you assume that the state will in fact pay in a reasonably timely manner what they've promised to pay.
Right.
Yeah.
My calculations
Yeah.
is we still are looking to carry long-term about 35.
Yeah, it'd be about 34 million
Yes,
long-term,
correct.
yes.
So that 35 million, that's going to work out to about $2 per thousand on the tax rate. Is that correct?
It really depends on what happens with interest rates at the time that we go to market.
So since we're low now, it'll be at least $2 going north.
It really depends on what happens in the market. I mean, now there's, a 10-year debt is expensive. And shorter term is cheaper, and, it really is a function of, there's a new Fed chief, and,
Yeah, it depends where they
we
go.
really kind of have to wait and see.
But just so,
Borrowing's gonna get more expensive, basically. It's not,
Yes.
it's probably not gonna get any cheaper.
Exactly.
right, so what I'm looking at then is we've got a roughly $2 per thousand on top of our current rate, which is around $14.50.
I think that's a little high. I don't think it's going to be that high.
I think the best we can say, Bernie, without getting exact numbers, is when all these kick in, it's gonna be a substantial increase in each individual property tax to cover this. Exactly what it'll be, it's hard to say, because you gotta go by the tax rate times what everybody's assessment is. It gets difficult, the tax rate alone doesn't dictate what you're gonna pay in taxes, it goes along with your
No,
assessment,
In
so.
terms of rough percentages,
Yeah,
you
it's,
can gauge it, because.
yeah, roughly, you can gauge it roughly, but I mean, it's, at this point, I wouldn't,
People are looking at around a 15% increase in their taxes.
that could be.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be expensive, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, that's the way it goes. We're sorry, but we need we need the buildings.
Right.
Both buildings and both projects, so, that's what we had to do.
And
Okay.
keep
The
in mind, we
taxpayers
also
did-
have, I'm sorry.
I just wanna say the taxpayers did vote for this, so, I mean, sometimes it,
Some of the taxpayers.
well, the majority, let's put it that way, so they both passed, and,
And we do have some projects that are coming off
yeah.
the tax rolls that were overrides, so.
Good.
The library, for one. So,
Yeah, there's a bunch of here are gonna expire in 2020, so,
right.
Yeah.
a couple in 19, so, yeah, it's just we're sorry to have to do that, but that's the way it is.
I have a motion to approve the budget.
Yeah, I'll give you a motion to approve the treasurer collector's budgets and the debt.
Second.
Motion to approve the treasurer collector and the information services.
Information
and
services
the debt.
and the debt, yeah.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen, did a nice job.
Okay, now we can let the town clerk come up to the front. Hi, Susan.
Move it up to the house.
Good evening.
Okay, we have the town clerk, Susan Hazen, to discuss fiscal year 19 town clerk budget, fiscal year 19 elections budget, fiscal year Board of Registrars budget, and the fiscal year 19 constable budget.
So we got a memo that to be level funded, and basically these budgets are level funded, with the two exceptions that postage went up. So that line went up a little bit just to pay for stamps. That's negligible. But last year we had one election, this year we have three. There's no other way.
Yeah, no, you're stuck by the number of
Yeah.
elections, right?
It simply costs more to do more elections. So yes, you will see my budget always fluctuates, goes up and down, even numbered years, odd numbered years.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So there is, in the next fiscal year, a state primary, a state election, and a town election. Town election we do every year, that price stays the same. The state primary and the state election, 13-hour day.
Oh, yeah.
And we have the addition this year. Last year, we had early voting. The federal government mandated 10 days prior to November elections. This year, the Secretary of State has submitted legislation to allow 5 days of early voting for the primary. Evidently, he thought it was so popular with the populace that they added that in. That hasn't been passed yet, but we have to
Program for it, yes.
Yes, plan on that. At the early voting in November of 2016, a third of our voters voted by early voting,
Oh,
which exceeded our expectations.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't expect, well, maybe it'll be a third, but our numbers are so much less for the primary and the state election that I don't think we're going to have that kind of overwhelming response. What else
Does
can
the
I
state
tell
ever okay the reimbursement? I know they were discussing the reimbursement.
They
Did
continue to
everything?
discuss it, and
did
we
they-
filled out lengthy paperwork.
Nothing's happened on it, though.
Nothing's, no,
Half-
a lot's
half of the
happened, but no
cost.
actual check.
Yeah, no actual check, right. The usual. No, it looks good. There's no, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, is approve the budgets as you said, the town clerk,
the elections. and
election board of
registrar,
registrars,
And the
election
constable.
wages, and the, is it the constable you said?
Constable.
And the constable. I'll make a motion to okay all those as submitted.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the budgets for the town clerk's office. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And
Thank you.
if I could address one more thing
Absolutely.
while I have the floor. I have 10 minutes. So, I would like to readdress the public records request stipend that we instituted last year. As you know, last year, the state had a new revised public records law instituted, Chapter 66, Section 10. It went into effect, and although it's always been possible to request public records, one of the major changes of this law was it appointed a records access officer who by default is the town clerk. It became me. This is a job that the office never had to address before. You could always get public records, but you went to the water department, you went to the library, you went to, now they all come through me. I'm the gatekeeper. And so I said last year, it was turning out when I came at this time last year, I had 12 or 15 requests at that point. I asked for a $2,500 stipend based on it's at least 2 hours worth of work for every records request that goes through. I based it on 1 a week, 2 hours extra a week, 50 weeks a year. It was a very scientific calculation. But your point was, we're only in March, we don't know how this is going to turn out. Report back to us. So I'm reporting back. In 2017, we had 68 public records requests,
Okay.
which is well above the 52 a year. And at least, I want to say, a dozen appeals. And so the requester is always entitled, if they don't like the answer, is always entitled to go to the Secretary of State's office and appeal. But it doesn't mean it doesn't come back to us. Of course, they start to call us and say, no, I have an appeal here, and whatever, they say you didn't give them this, and I have to give them the copies of everything I've given them, and then they come back and they say, well, you need to give them that. My answer is, but the holder of the record doesn't have that. You know, I'm the conduit again. So the appeals do count as
Come through your
time
office
as well.
also.
Yes, is what I'm saying. So I'm back to square one. I still think the 2,500 is a reasonable stipend for the amount of work that, and you've all seen it since in the last
Is that in
year.
the selectmen's budget? Is that where
It's
we?
in the selectmen's
we
budget,
have
yes.
that line?
Yeah.
This position is appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
Right, okay.
This position of RAO, and therefore the stipend isn't attached to the elected
Right, right,
town
okay.
clerk's salary.
Okay.
So you got 2,500 last year?
No, I got 15 last year.
15, so you're looking for
Because
2,500.
I asked for the 25, but you
Right.
knocked it down to
Yeah, we cut
15,
it
based
down.
on the fact that we didn't know how it was going to work.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm just back again.
All right.
Thank you.
I think we'll put it in, take a look at it in our budget form, and we'll see
Any
what we're gonna do.
Right.
questions to that?
Larry?
Just one thing, for tomorrow's Finance Committee meeting, I assume, Susan, you'll be there. If you could just have knowledge of what the stipends are for each of the people there. You've got a lump sum there.
Each of the people there, I'm sorry,
Well, you've got yourself, Barbara Demento, Geraldine Robertson, and Gordon Densmore.
well, that's the Board of Registrars,
Yes.
yeah, and the stipend, what do you mean, divided, $2,300 divided in four, each one gets
Okay,
exactly a quarter of that.
all right. I just didn't know whether there was
Yeah, no, that's fine,
difference, but, thank you.
you're welcome. Anything else?
Bernie?
Is there a, what does the state say about a fee for making a request for records?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Does the state have any policy governing us charging a fee for the request of
The
records?
state frowns on it.
Well, they can frown all they want.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, they can frown. We are allowed to charge a fee. We are allowed to charge 5 cents a page. And the cost of the lowest paid person in the office to do the research by hour. We are allowed to charge that. But, as I say, they
But not
say
a,
right
not
in
a
there.
flat, not a flat fee.
No.
So it has to be on basically a
So when people
Job-
submit
job fee.
a request, first of all, I have to write a receipt. So now I'm just whining about the paperwork that's involved, but I have to write a receipt. And then I have to send it to the departments that it would apply to. And then within that, it says that I don't have any knowledge of how much the fees would be, but I will write to you immediately if I hear a fee. So then the department may write back. 9 times out of 10, it's
Well,
easy to
I'm
get.
not
But if they
questioning-
write back and say, that's gonna take us 25 hours of work to find it, now there's a big fee attached, and you have to write another letter, the clock stops, they have to send the check before we do the research.
I understand that. It just seems like $2,500 is the stipend and 80 events, 68 requests and 12 appeals. That works out at $30 a request.
Wow, that's good in your head.
$30 for the appeal
Yeah.
as well. And $30 seems to me to be just a check to make sure that this is not a frivolous request.
Yeah,
And
well,
so I don't know, the state governs obviously, and it just seems as though we've opened up a can of worms with the
I think in the past, I think we've had fees, I can recall, upwards of $400 or $500,
Oh, we did.
depending on the size of some of these people are
We had
looking
one
for
request.
years' worth of record checking. Other
had-
ones are relatively minor.
one last year that we collected $700 for the
Yeah.
research, and we distributed in a full WB Mason box.
Right, so I mean, it's
Calculated it was over 1,000
I'm
pages.
thinking about the ante.
yeah, so we get reimbursed, that goes into the general fund, I assume,
Yes.
right?
No, Mr. Chairman, the Records Access Officer created a revolving fund last year.
Okay, revolving fund.
Please remind you,
Okay.
and
That's
Susan,
true.
how's your utilization on that?
You know, we charge so infrequently. I literally don't think we've charged since we made that revolving fund. But we have had situations at the beginning of the year where departments would make the records up, at least one, which was Brent, had to make big maps up to comply with the request, and that cost money to bring it to a big copier company. And then we got paid, and there was no mechanism to get it back to the Conservation Commission. That's why we had to establish the
The
revolving fund.
revolving fund.
But I don't make up the fees.
Right,
The
right.
various departments decide whether they're going to charge
Right.
or not.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have a 7:40 appointment. We're running just a little bit late. Brent, from the Conservation Commission to discuss the fiscal year 19 conservation budget.
If you don't mind, Brent, can you sit in the front row, because what we're finding is
Is
people
that
are
what the electrodes are on?
people are complaining that they're not able to hear the audience too well when you sit in the further back.
This is much nicer anyway. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
See, basically, your level funded and expenses and the wages and salaries have followed the guidelines.
That is correct. As well as the Conservation Commission is continuing and will be shortly submitting a request for authorization of appropriation of our notice of intent monies to continue to fund 6 hours of the secretarial position. Due to our estimate, those monies are dedicated to administration and enforcement of the state's Wetlands Protection Act, not the town's wetlands bylaw, and so those monies can only be utilized for activities that are directly attributable to administering the state law and also enforcement matters. Most of it is going to administration. Thank goodness.
Okay, if there's no questions, I'll make a recommendation that we approve the Conservation Commission budget.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the Conservation Commission budget for fiscal year 19. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you very much.
And I'll be of any further service to the Board of Selectmen this evening.
You're all set? Thank you.
Thank you for
You can
your
hang
time
around
and
if you want.
consideration.
We like an
I
audience.
figure I was just warming the seat up for the next.
The next victim, right? Pam.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next appointment
Thanks
was
for all you do.
Library Director Pam Jacobson to discuss fiscal year 19 library budget.
If you don't mind, Pam, can you come up front that way? It's much better for the television people.
Sure.
I used to know about this, but kind of gotten away from it.
Yes, the first page in your packet is the calculation of the municipal appropriation requirement, which we haven't had to talk about for several years. But we do calculate it every year to make sure we meet it. Typically, we will, if there's a COLA in a given year, that's even enough to put us over. It's an increase of 2.5% above the average of the last 3 years.
The average of the last.
The average of the last 3 years, yes.
Okay.
Any questions on the municipal appropriation requirement? So the wages and salaries reflect the guidelines of a 1% COLA and step raises and the longevity increases. And then there are, unfortunately, a couple of unavoidable expense increases in the expense line, the same ones we talk about every year for the library. And that is our network assessment to join the Merrimack Valley Library Consortium. And that, because you asked for documentation this year, you actually get to look at the formula that I talk about every year, whereby the shared member costs are figured out based on the previous year's circulation, materials, traffic in the network, etc. That line increased by 2%. And then the other unique little quirk in the library budget is the materials expenditure requirement, whereby we have to spend a certain percentage of the overall budget on materials. Now, for our population size, that would normally be 19%. Because we are open enough hours, if we were a larger town, we would have to be open more hours. We would have to be open 40 hours a week. Because we are open 40 hours a week, we can also take advantage of the flexibility and use that level for our materials expenditure requirement. So that's how we are required to spend 16% on materials instead of 19. I'm not sure I explained that well, but I
No, that's
hope
fine.
you're following
All
along.
right.
Okay.
No, the information you gave us was very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's again, a 7-page document
Right.
from the Board of Library Commissioners, and it's a good opportunity to review
Oh, it really is.
the several requirements that we have to meet each year to qualify for the state aid program. And of course, the state aid is a monetary award, but it's also a certification, which is the basis of the reciprocal borrowing program in Massachusetts. So we all like the convenience of going to any library in the state, and what makes that happen is that everybody pulls their weight. You don't have one town subsidizing another town.
I told them I'm still upset with them for closing the Danvers office of the consortium right
Yeah.
off of 114.
Yes, yes.
That was a good resource.
Can you
Yes.
refresh my memory, Pam? Did-
Yes.
Did we give you money last year for the electric doors for the handicapped access?
Yes, we're still working on finding a vendor for that.
Okay.
We thought we had one lined up, we had some quotes, and then we got into fair wages, and kind of had to step back and,
Are you gonna have
Start
enough
again.
money in that, whatever, I don't remember what we gave you, but if you think you're gonna need more than what you have because the prices are going up yearly, you have to let the town administrator know right away, so we
I
can,
will.
we can
Oh,
add
yeah.
some additional money
Yeah.
to that this year if we
Okay,
need it.
okay,
We
I'll-
definitely want that to be
I'll try and
done.
get another
Prevailing
quote right
wages,
away.
They
Yeah.
don't, they're going up all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
it's a-
maybe a fresh request for a price quote on that.
Yeah, basically, we don't want you going out to bid after the town meeting stuff's in and
Right.
find out that you're $1,000
That's a good point.
short or something, now we can't do the project because
Yeah, and
We-
actually, you
we want
bringing
to fund that.
You bringing that up reminds me, I talked to Debbie last week about some other unexpected building expenses we've had in this fiscal year. So I think we're also going to do an article at the special town meeting for that, or we had talked about an emergency FinCom transfer. That will affect the MAR. It's a projection right now, and it's actually, there's two numbers. There's the municipal appropriation requirement, then the other figure they use is called a TAMI, which is total appropriated municipal income. So, for the next 4 months, we'll be collecting money in the revolving fund. That will affect the MAR a little bit as well, as will any kind of transfer into the operating.
Okay. Or whatever we can get to us as soon as possible,
Yeah.
to Debbie, that would be a big help.
Yeah, so Pam has some maintenance issues that that are being addressed right now that,
Okay.
in order to keep that building
Yeah, no, we don't want to let that go.
running, and so we're looking at maybe transferring from some articles that, and combining it as one,
Okay.
so.
That building's 14 years old now, so
Yeah, that's just a
starting-
baby in this town.
it's starting to show its wear and tear. We've had some HVAC issues and
Oh, I'm sure it's only going to get worse.
systems, yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Motion?
Anything else, Pam? You're all set?
Didn't else anybody had questions?
I'll give you a motion to accept the library budget as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the library budget for fiscal year 19. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Pam.
you.
Come on up, Reed. You're in the hot seat.
Your turn, Reed.
It's not plugged in, is it?
It wasn't before, but it might be now.
Animal Control Officer Reed Wilson to discuss vehicle issues. The Animal Control Officer Reed Wilson does not currently have access to a vehicle. We contacted the other town departments, however, no one has a space vehicle for him to use. We have looked into prices to purchase a new truck off the state contract. Attached are 2 truck options: a Nissan Frontier King Cab S 2-wheel drive, $17,995, and a Ford 150 regular cab XL 2-wheel drive, $19,453. That's $19,453. Reed will also have tools and equipment that will need to be stored in the truck. A fiberglass cap for the truck bed can be added through the state contract. Exact pricing for the cap was not available on the Combis or Nissan website, but can be obtained through a formal request for a quote. A search on eBay showed new fiberglass caps being sold for between $1,500 and $2,200. If the selectmen are supportive of purchasing one of these trucks, you will need to consider whether to make a reserve fund transfer to the animal control budget or to put an article on the special town meeting warrant.
Mr. Chairman, I met with the animal control officer today and to discuss this. In other words, he does not have a vehicle. And if you look at the back row, Carol LaRock, who served the town many, many years ago as our animal control officer, has been Reed, she's our backup, and she's been basically driving Reed around when he needs it.
Helping me out for the past.
But in a long-term,
half.
in a long-term basis,
Not
our
gonna
animal
work out.
control officer has to have a vehicle.
Right.
And also, Carol's doing it out of the goodness of her heart, because we don't have any money in the budget to be paying her or giving her money, so.
I always take care of you.
Yeah, she's very good, very cooperative. Believe me, we really, really appreciate it. And to give Reed, going back over the years, and I've been here a lot of years, Reed has always performed 120% when needed. And his salary is small. A few years ago, we gave him a stipend for his cell phone. He's always used his own vehicle, and he goes around, picks up dead animals and stray dogs and all kinds of animals. And when we looked around, we saw, when I first realized it was a problem, is when I saw the Newbury animal control vehicle driving through town, and I was wondering, she come down and have coffee with Reed. But they're out on a call, I assume. But in other words, most of the towns around, their animal control people have a vehicle.
Yeah, the town-owned vehicle.
So Reed's basically, his vehicle is beyond repair, and it's time we bite the bullet, and we can't wait until the town meeting. I mean, it's too much to expect Carol to be down here all the time for the number of calls that Reed deals with. And we really he needs a pickup truck of sorts, because he puts dead animals in the back. He can put, dogs, if we have a cap, he can put a dog in the back and get it when he goes over to the kennel and so on and so forth. So we looked on the internet today to the state purchasing website for vehicles, and that's where we come up with the two prices that are there. The Frontier King Cab, and that's the identical vehicle to what I drive, so I went over to Reed's house this afternoon, and he sat in it. That was acceptable. That's the lowest price for $17,995 off the state bid list. And if we get a cap on it, they got the price for caps at up to $200. We do get a 5% discount if we buy the cap with the truck. We'll check on the price of that. Or the other thing is that's got a king-size cab, which will give Reeds a little bit of space behind it's like a jump seat behind the main, the two front seats, so he can put some equipment, tools or whatever back there and have that available. The other issue is if we looked at a full-size Ford pickup, which is $19,453, so it's close to $2,000 more, and it's going to be smaller, because it's not going to have the king cab. It's just going to be a regular cab on it. And I'm assuming that probably we'll get a little better gas mileage out of the Nissan than we would out of the full-size Ford. So based on that, what we're asking the board for tonight is support Reed and the request for the Nissan Frontier along with a cap. I don't have the exact price. We can add it up. And then tomorrow night, I'm going to go with the town administrator to the finance committee and ask them to support the same purchase. In other words, this is it's an emergency. I mean, we need to have an animal control officer with a vehicle.
Right.
And Reed, like I say, over the years, he's always done this with his own car. He's never asked the town for anything. And it's our turn now to reward him a little bit with a vehicle. It's a town-owned vehicle. It'll be registered to the town, and to be used as a with the town's vehicle policy.
Okay.
And we just got to bite the bullet and do it. So hopefully this board will approve this tonight, and we'll be looking to go before the finance committee tomorrow night to approve their transfer from their budget. We gave the finance committee an extra $25,000 a year or two ago to account for emergencies, because one year we had to buy a cruiser a couple of years back.
Oh, yes. Yep.
So this way here, this will gives him a vehicle to use, which we desperately need, and we'll get it lettered and so on, some lettering on it and things like that, so it'll be an official vehicle. And this finance committee will still have pretty good amount, and if we run into a problem, we'll just transfer some money at the Springtown meeting into the finance committee budget to make up. But right now, it's
I would need some type of lights on top.
yeah, we'll take a look, Reed, when
Not that they even slow down for it, but
Yeah,
no, you should have a yellow
At least
flashing
it
light or
has
something on there.
yeah.
a warning.
Yeah.
they don't even slow down with the blue lights.
That's true.
Just for my peace of mind.
So, probably we ought to include a little extra money in that for lighting. Maybe instead of 2,200, if we take add up the 17,995, and assuming we can get a cap for less than 2,200, if we put in 3,000, so make it 20,995, that'll give them $3,000 between the
It
cap.
doesn't really have to be a cap.
Well, we'll take a look at it. In other words, what we're trying to do now is just get a bid.
Right, what I have on my pickup is one of those covers that just fold up.
Okay,
That's sufficient,
all right, we just want something that's rugged enough that,
Yeah.
it'll be your choice what you get,
Yeah.
but we just want to make sure we whatever money you don't use, we'll give back to the finance
Yeah,
committee,
just,
so.
there's one of those fold-up.
Okay.
I bought that a number of years ago up at Cap World. I don't want the snap ones up. They're lousy.
Okay.
Yeah, just the one you just hold down and fold it back, and you can fold it back.
Why don't we ask if we make it a 3,000 plus the price of the vehicle, if you spend less than that, we're proud of you. We're happy. We're happy all around.
I think when I bought that cap, the cover, a few years ago, I think it was about $400 or $500, so.
Okay, we'll put enough money in there to make sure
Yeah.
we can cover it. And like I say, if I assume this board would be in agreement,
I don't want to get greedy.
and we'll talk to the finance committee tomorrow night.
Mr. Chairman, we would also have a sign on I think it's important for people, because we get a lot of calls here on the animals all the time, and if he's got a sign on that truck.
Well, my pickup truck, I
You
have
have
the
that.
magnetic,
So you have a
Yeah.
magnetic one?
yeah, magnetic says animal control.
Yeah, we'll get it lettered. That should allow enough money for it.
He has to go onto private property sometimes, and.
No, we'll get it
Oh,
lettered,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
either that or a magnetic sign,
Yeah.
an official-looking sign that
Yeah, I bought-
we can check with the police
I
department,
mean,
the highway department.
magnetic
see
ones
what
I
they
got a
use.
few years ago, I haven't been able to catch up to the guy, but the guy right now is in Raleigh, that signs by whatever.
Oh, Doug,
Oh, yeah.
signs by Doug.
Yeah,
We'll see who the highway department uses,
Yeah.
or the police
Yeah, when you go to
department.
highway and water, they.
Yeah, they
but,
use them all the time, so.
We do want to have that on there, I think.
We just want to have,
I want to be clearly identified.
yeah, we want you to have a vehicle, and it's a dependable vehicle. We'll get probably 10 or 15 years out of it, I'm
I
sure.
hope. Yeah.
We'll all be long gone by then, but, it's something that it will be worthwhile. It's too bad that your other vehicle died on you, but
Blew a head gasket.
you've been driving that for a lot of years and doing town business with it, so. Plus, you can take Carol out for a drag race and see which vehicle will go faster or better.
Anything would beat mine.
Motion?
I'll give you a motion to approve, what did I say, 20,000? To say 21,000.
21,000.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve
Request for
request for $21,000 to
From
cover the,
reserve fund.
the reserve fund, yeah.
all those in favor say aye.
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 And it'll be transferred, the request is to transfer into Reed's expense line over the purchasing
Okay.
of this, and just clarifying, we'll be done for the selection.
Right, it'll be done through the selectmen.
Right. They go out and buy it, not me.
And then I told Reed today that when he submits his budget,
Which is on the agenda.
Is it on the agenda tonight?
Yes.
we're gonna add $500 a year, because you gotta put gas in it once in a while.
Right.
Get the oil changed once in a while.
But that's something I'll discuss when I get, figure out who you guys want me to
Yeah,
deal with.
we'll put the money in now as part of your expense budget. In fact, why don't we take that up now, yeah, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman? Well, Reed's right here, I think.
Is that all?
It's in their FY '19 budgets. You have some
Yeah.
budgets that we work on here.
Animal inspector,
Animal control officer, animal inspector.
animal control.
Yeah, I'll just let you know, who would you prefer me to,
Yeah, we'll worry about that, don't
Yeah.
worry about that another time. I don't know, just, we'll check with highway and
Yeah.
police and see who they use, and,
I know they're filling up at noses, I hear it on the scanner all the
Yeah.
time.
all right, so on your regular budget, Reed, it looks like you're basically level funding, except for,
So I level funded, I prepared the
Yeah.
budget for Reed.
I got it
right
here.
So So it is level funded, and it falls within the guidelines, and it's getting the cost of living.
Right, okay. Are we gonna add $500 to that expense line to,
If that's the board's wish, we
Well-
can adjust this, and I can redo it.
yeah, it only gets 1,600 to begin with, so you're not over.
But he uses that, so we have, between the animal inspector and animal control, the expenses include, when we have to go to Ipswich Animal Hospital.
Yeah.
For some of those, issues with
Right.
dogs.
Right, all my expenses are animal-related, vet bills, or
Right.
if I can,
The freezer in the back,
All right.
up here, in front of
Okay.
the cemetery, that we have to have in the company that comes to
All right,
take
so you won't object if we add $500 to your expense budget?
heck, no.
rabies testing.
Yeah.
So you're going to add it on the expense line for fiscal year 19?
But the rabies,
Right.
wouldn't that be under the animal
That's animal
inspector?
inspector.
Animal
All of these
inspectors,
are different things he does.
yeah.
All right, wait a minute.
Inspector?
So it goes under that goes under
No,
the
the freezer, we're gonna put this in the animal control line.
animal control, right. So that'll
We will be
be,
using this truck when he has to do the barn book.
Oh, yeah,
for the-
yeah.
For the Department of Agriculture.
whatever town duties you need,
Yeah.
He will be using the truck as the animal inspector as well.
Okay.
So that'll bring it up to 2122.
6-6.
On the fiscal 19 request for the expenses. will be
21-22.
2122.
Right.
I'll give you a motion to approve the budget as amended,
Second.
And the animal inspector?
and the animal inspector, yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the animal inspector and the animal control officer budgets for fiscal year 19. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Are you gonna come tomorrow night
Do you need me?
for the, Mr. Chairman, do you want to read there tomorrow night for the truck?
If he can make it, yes.
Might be, if you can make it, it might be a good idea.
Right, here at the,
No, it'll be,
Here.
it'll be here.
okay,
7:15 is
All right.
the meeting. 7:30 thereabouts,
all right.
just in case they got any questions.
All right.
We'll do it.
Is that it, gentlemen?
That's it.
I think that's
I'd like
good.
to thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
getting back to my agenda. We're on to new business. Number 1, review zoning board of appeals. Special permit application filed by Steve Pirro of the American Barbecue for expansion or change of non-conformant use and setback requirements. The zoning board of appeals is going to have a public hearing at 39 Central Street at the Town Hall Annex, March 15th at 7:10 PM.
Yeah, I looked it over, Mr. Chairman. I thought it was a rather nice-looking addition and fixing up the structure. I think it'll be a real asset to the neighborhood up there, and I didn't see any, from my point of view anyway, I didn't see any, have any objections to what was submitted, so.
Okay,
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Looks good, it really, looks really good.
so we have no issues for the zoning board of appeals?
No, I don't have any.
Thank you. Okay, memorandum, March 1st, 2018, to Board of Selectmen from Amy Lyden regarding the 2017 town report cover. Debbie and I suggest that the attached photo be used for the 2017 town report cover. This photo is of Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, Bruce Tarr, and several members of the board. The photo was taken when the community compact was signed for the town on November 29th, 2017. We suggest that the photos of the police, fire, and Pine Grove school projects be used on covers of the 2019 and 2020 town reports when these large projects are completed. Inside the 2017 town report, we would like to include photos of the groundbreaking for the police and fire station, photos of the progress at the site, including the removal of trailers, and the photos of Reverend Bob when he retired. I like the picture for the cover.
You have my name on it? Oh, wait a minute, no, I see, you've got your name on the... I think I'm gonna have to abstain on this one. No, I'll give you a motion to approve the cover photo as submitted.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the cover photo for the 2017 town report. All those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, you got trouble.
Bernie?
I just had a point of information in terms of the date for submissions of reports for the annual report.
I think the date's passed, but
It was February 15th.
Could you
We're not gonna
provide-
print it without your report, don't worry. Maybe we'll
As
find
soon
it.
as soon as possible, because I have to put all of the reports into it and then format it.
Oh, absolutely, but that's new news for me, so I'm not quite sure how come, but okay, fine.
An email.
Well, no, I'm not questioning that, I'm just saying that I didn't know, so, all right, fair enough.
yeah, you're late, Bernie, you gotta get gigged.
Okay, moving on. Whole business number 1, update on Raleigh Veterans Association liquor license state approval. The ABCC has approved the change of manager and change of beneficial ownership application submitted by the RVA. This change was originally approved by the Board of Selectmen on November 6, 2017. The ABCC did not approve this application because the articles of incorporation submitted by the RVA with their application were not correct, and the ABCC requested that the RVA update them. The updated documents were mailed to the ABCC on December 4th, 2017, and we received notice of the ABCC approval via email on February 28th, 2018. No further action is needed.
Very good.
We're glad that the
Took a
RVA
while,
has
but-
their documents all online. Okay. We have an update on the Pine Grove School project. I get to comment on this one. Sub-bids were received and opened last Thursday for a number of the trade contracts. The OPM is currently reviewing these bids and will be providing us with a list of bidders. I want to let you know that I sat through 2 hours of opening bids on 16 sub-trades with 3 to 5 bidders per trade. So we had somewhere between 50 and 90 bids to go through, and got some interesting numbers, let me tell you. But it was a good project, and we got everything sorted out. and,
Hopefully they're within the
everything
projections,
recorded.
right?
We'll get to
That's the
find
key.
out, I think Thursday night at the school building committee, we will get our first idea of what the bids were like.
All right, good.
Update on the fire station and police station addition project. The contractor has been working to get the gas main moved at the police station so that he can begin working on the foundation for the addition. National Grid stopped by the site last Thursday to discuss the project. Also, the contractor has been working on securing the construction site. There was a concern that the public could get into the back of the site. Measures are being taken to extend the fence around the back portions of the site.
Yeah, just make a note, Mr. Chairman, for the public. The fence is up. I went by there today. I go by there every day. And the fence is up totally around the construction site at this time. I just want to let people know that the playground at this point is closed over there, all the little kids' playground. There's no access to it. And will be opened up sometime after April 1st when we get the temporary road open for the ball field access, and that'll also open up then the access for that playground. So requesting parents to not bring their children over for this month anyway, and we will announce sometime after April 1st when the playground will be available again for public use. We just don't want anybody hurt.
Right.
And the other issue is the contractor reports that there have been a couple of occasions when unauthorized townspeople went within the fenced-in area. I mean, you can go, if you want to see the project, when you drive by, you can pull into the public parking lot there by the large ball field and where the access is to the conservation land. But no one from the public is allowed into the fenced-in area. When we go, if any of the town officials want to go in, we have to check in at the contractor. He controls the site. He says whether people can go in there or not. He maintains it. He could be fined, I think he said the other day, $10,000 if OSHA happens to come by and see unauthorized people on the site. So it's a serious issue for both the contractor and for safety purposes. There's all kinds of moving equipment and some stuff going on there. So basically, if you want to ride by and look at it, stop and take a look, that's fine. But no one's allowed in the site, and we certainly don't want parents with small children going over to the playground until that area is made safe again. So other than that, it's coming along good. The weather's improved up until Wednesday anyway, I guess.
Right.
This weekend, it rained mostly on the weekend, so we lost a day there. But it's coming along, and they don't blast. They've been pounding out the rock, that ledge that was there that we looked at last week. They got a big pounder, and it's been pounding it out today. And I checked with them when I was over there on something else. I checked with the foreman there, and he said so far so good. So it's looking good.
Very good. Okay, moving on to old business number 4, update on the fiscal year 19 Triton budget assessment. This Wednesday night, March 7th, 2018, the school committee will have a meeting at Triton High School Library at 7 p.m. On the agenda is reports and deliberations. The school committee will be deliberating on the budget. They will not take any comments, and they will not allow for public comment. That they will allow oral communications as their regular part of their beginning of the meeting, but they will not participate or ask for any participation or once the school committee deliberates on the operating budget for fiscal year 19. They will consider, they will give the administration further guidance on the development of the final fiscal year 19 operating budget, and they will vote a final approval on Wednesday, March 14th. So this Wednesday, they will be deliberating on the budget and without public comment, and then they will take a final approval vote on Wednesday, March 14th at the Triton Library. Okay.
But Bernie's looking at
Bernie?
Have you heard anything to indicate that there's been any substantive change in the budget that they're looking for?
Not a
We won't
word.
even talk about it till
Not a word.
this week's meeting. It didn't appear from past meetings we've all been to. Larry's been there, you've been there, Bernie, Joe and I both have been to most of all these different meetings, and I'm not optimistic that they're gonna reduce the budget by any large amount. They may do some small cuts, but it doesn't appear at this point. Maybe we'll be shocked, and hopefully I'm incorrect, but at this point.
I don't hold on
We've
much.
said all we can say, and we'll see how they vote.
Okay, fiscal year 19 budgets. We have town moderator. Budget is level funded,
I recuse myself on this one.
and we can't vote.
Well, probably, I'll have to put it off.
Okay. We have the zoning board of appeals.
I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the zoning board of appeals and the zoning board.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the zoning board of appeals and budget for fiscal year 19. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We have the selectmen's budget is not ready for tonight. We have the Personnel Advisory Committee is level funded.
I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the Personnel Advisory Committee budget for fiscal year 19. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We've already done the animal inspector and the animal control officer. And we're at fire hydrants. Fire hydrant budget has been reduced from fiscal year 18 to fiscal year 19 by $39,000. The fiscal year 19 figure is $14,400.
Can I just say, Mr. Chairman, the last 2 or 3 years, I've been a vocal opponent of vast increases in the hydrant budget. I mean, to me, the hydrants, we pay basically a stipend for those. And the previous water superintendent felt that we should totally pay for them. So I guess the board voted Bernie to reduce it. I actually reduced it a lot lower than I thought, which is greatly appreciated.
Yes, we do appreciate it.
It was in the context of the situation that the town is facing.
Motion?
I'll give you a motion to approve the hydrants at $14,400.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the hydrants budget for fiscal year 19 at $14,400. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And last on the list is the Brad Street and Dodge properties. And we have level funded.
2,000 for Brad Street and 10,000 for Dodge. I'll give you a motion to approve those.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the fiscal year 19 Brad Street property and Dodge reservation funding for the fiscal year 19 again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we have announcements. The Friends of the Council on Aging is sponsoring a shoe drive during the month of April at the Town Hall Annex, 39 Central Street. Paired footwear, such as the following, may be deposited in the container at the Annex parking lot. Shoes, boots, work boots, sandals, slippers, flip-flops, heels, sneakers, pocketbooks, purses, backpacks, and belts. The All Scout paper drive schedule is March 10th, May 12th, July 14th, September 8th, and November 10th from 9 a.m. to noon behind the First Congregational Church on Main Street. Non-perishable items such as diapers, paper towels, tissues, and toilet paper will be collected by the Scouts for the Raleigh Food Pantry. Information on the Pine Grove School Project is available on the town's website at www.townofraleigh.net. Town meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 30th, 2018 at 7 p.m. excuse me, in the Pine Grove School Gymnasium. Please note the location change is the Pine Grove School Gymnasium. Treasurer Collector announces that the motor vehicle excise tax bills were mailed on February 2nd, 2018. The town has the following vacancies: fence viewer, 3 positions; wood, lumber, and bark inspector; zoning board of appeals associate, 3 seats; Parks and Recreation Committee, 1 seat; and deputy shellfish constables, 2 positions. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectmen's office at 948-2372. The Raleigh Food Pantry is in need of donations. Donations can be left at the Raleigh Public Library. The food pantry is open on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.